Hello and Jai Hind, everyone. I'm Major Muhammad Ali Shah. It's my proud privilege and honor to be in conversation with a very, very illustrious general officer who he needs no introduction at all. You've all heard him on radio, on television. You read several of his columns. In fact, he is known as an authority on any affairs concerning the Gurkhas because he has had an illustrious tenure with the Gurkhas. In fact, service, I would say. He took premature retirement thereafter, and today we a name which needs no introduction. And here let us talk about, because the closest I have got towards Gurkhas serving with them is when I was serving with the Assam Rifles, and that's the Assam Rifles tie that I'm wearing. So, sir, let's go ahead straight away and let's welcome Major General Ashok K. Mehta. Sir, Jai Hind, sir, and thank you very much for taking your time, sir.
Thank you very much. And it's a great privilege and honor to be with a colleague from the Indian Army, albeit from Assam Rifles, but that's as close as you can get to the Gurkhas.
Sir, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. So, firstly, I would like to give my heartfelt apologies for not being clean shaven today because of my compulsion. I have a shooting of an ad film tomorrow, and the director wants me to keep the stubble. So I was in a fix. I had called him up. I told him, listen, I need to be clean shaven before 3 p.m. And he said, no, sir, please, please. उसने convince किया तो I that's why so I'm पहले से apologize कर रहा हूँ. I'm terribly embarrassed about it, but I'm very sorry about that, sir.
Yeah.
So, I see a very fine picture of a Gurkha soldier behind you, sir. Am I right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I mean, nobody can mistake that iconic image of a Gurkha hat and the kukri aloft and the cry of Ayo Gurkhali, Marno Banda Jati Ramro. Better to
Wow.
die than be a coward. Well, that's the combined war cry of the very, very famous Gurkhas. And you're
Wow.
absolutely right. He's right behind me, but normally I should be in front of him.
Right, sir. Absolutely, absolutely right, sir. So, as Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw once said, I recently saw Sam Bahadur. I had the honor of seeing the premiere of that, and so Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw's famous quote once he had said, "If a man says he's not scared of dying, he's either a Gorkha or he's lying."
Yeah. I think Sam Bahadur, who never actually commanded Gurkha troops, has received so much of acclaim and fame, and just because of his association, not just because of his association with the word Bahadur, and he became Sam Bahadur. It's interesting to know that Sam Manekshaw wanted to be colonel of two regiments, and one of those two was my regiment. That is the 5th Gurkha Rifles Frontier Force, and my battalion, being the 2nd Battalion, the 5th Gurkha Rifles Frontier Force, the only battalion in the Indian Army and in the Commonwealth to have won 3 Victoria Crosses in World War II, two within 24 hours. And I recall when Sam Manekshaw became the chief, he asked our battalion to loan him the two busts of the VC winners. At that time, we had only two uh, iron busts of the Victoria Cross winners, Lagan Singh Rai and Gaje Ghale. We didn't have Netru Bahadur because he died, he'd got his award posthumously. So Sam Manekshaw took loan of those two VCs. And in the early days, Sam Manekshaw used to keep a red lanyard. The red lanyard is the royal recognition of royal to the 5th Gurkhas, the only Gurkha regiment of the Indian Army to have been given the royal title because of its distinction of having won the Victoria Crosses. Sam used to keep the red lanyard in his pocket, although he became colonel of 8 GR. He used to keep the red lanyard, and whenever he came 50 yards of a 5th Gurkha battalion, he would quickly change from black lanyard, the 8 Gurkhas, to 5 GR, and put his buckles apart. That's the other distinction of the 5th Gurkhas. And you in this movie, Sam Bahadur, you see in some frames his buckles, his buckles are apart. So that's the conflict that he went through in wanting to be colonel of 2 regiments. I suppose Sam could do anything. Sam could have worn red on the right, the royal, and black on the left, and it would have passed. He had reached a stage in life that he could do no wrong. That was
Right.
Sam. And this film, although it has many wrongs, factually and in other regards, but the object is not so much to talk about Sam. It's about to talk about the Bahadur part of Sam. And I was actually saying that it's ironic that just when Sam is enjoying the shine and glisten of the Gurkhas themselves are being tarnished with the brush of demobilization. There's already talk about Gurkha battalions being demobilized, but we can come to that later. So, this is the great irony of this month and the end of the year, that on the one hand, Sam Bahadur, who acquired his fame now from the Gurkhas themselves have lost the glisten and it will eventually simply disappear into oblivion. But they can't.
So I read your article today, in the Wire, and after that I gave you a call. And in fact, you mentioned by 2037 they would be in oblivion. I mean, but as you rightly said just now, they can't. So and of course they. So before that, for the understanding of our viewers who are civilians right now, आपने बात करी sir 5 GR and 8 GR की and the two different lanyards, red and black. So हमारे civilian दर्शकों को समझाने के लिए sir, do 5 GR and 8 GR have two different lanyards, sir?
हाँ, ये जितने भी रेजिमेंट्स हैं हमारे फौज में, गुरखा रेजिमेंट, उनकी लैनियार्ड अलग अलग रंग की है, क्योंकि हर एक बटालियन और हर एक रेजिमेंट के अंदर 6 बटालियन या 5 बटालियन होती हैं. हर एक बटालियन ये कोशिश करता है या करती है कि वो दूसरी पलटन से अलग दिखे, उसके बारे में लोग अलग सोचें, और वो बहादुरी भी अलग अलग तरीके से करते थे. और इसलिए जो गुरखा हैट है, कोई यहाँ पर पहनते थे, कोई इस जगह पे पहनते थे, लेकिन हमारी बटालियन, हमारी रेजिमेंट उसको यहाँ पे पहनती थी ताकि मुंह बंद रहे, ज्यादा बोलो नहीं, काम करके दिखाओ. वो सेकंड 5 और 5 GR का मुद्दा था. और सेकंड 5 इसलिए अपना चिन स्ट्रैप हमेशा होठ के नीचे लगाती थी, अगर आप देखें, क्योंकि हमारे ये एक फौज की दस्तूर था, हमारी पलटन का, रेजिमेंट का, कि चुप रहो, आपका जो काम है वो बोले, आप मत बोलो. सो इसलिए कोई लाल लगाए, कोई अपनी टोपी में अलग अलग रंग लगाए, कोई पॉम पॉम लगाए, ये सब चीजें अलग देखने के लिए. और उससे जो फौज में जो प्राइड है, जो उसका प्राइड उसके साथ मिलता है, वो उसकी निशानी बन जाती है. और इसलिए सैम मैनेक्शॉ, अगर आप देखें उस फिल्म में, तो उनका भी कुछ तरीका गोरखों से सीखा हुआ था, जैसे वो बोलते थे, क्योंकि गोरखे भी बिल्कुल वैसे बोलते हैं। सो ये जो भी आप गोरखा रेजिमेंट के बारे में देखें, ये सिर्फ गोरखा रेजिमेंट के बारे में नहीं है, पूरी हमारी फौज में ऐसे इन्फेंट्री में, और वो अलग अलग कुमाऊं रेजिमेंट, जाट रेजिमेंट, उनके तरीके अलग होते हैं, वो बहादुरी के तरीके हैं, वो प्राइड और रिस्पेक्ट और इज्जत और दस्तूर, ये सब चीजें उसका दारोमदार बन जाती हैं।
सर बिल्कुल। सर आप क्या कभी आपने हैड यू सर्व विद फील्ड मार्शल सैम मानेकशॉ सर? और
नहीं, मैं आपको समझाऊं, अब ये बहुत अच्छा सवाल आपने किया। पहली बात तो मैं आपको ये बता दूं कि जितना मैंने मैं इमोडेस्टली बोल रहा हूं, जितना मैंने फील्ड मार्शल मानेकशॉ के बारे में लिखा है,
हाँ वो तो खैर है।
कोई हिंदुस्तान में कोई शख्स नहीं है
करेक्ट करेक्ट
जिसने इतना उनके बारे में लिखा है। और
करेक्ट।
मुझे याद है कि 15 साल पहले देहरादून में एक पब्लिशिंग हाउस है, डून पब्लिशिंग हाउस, वो मेरे पीछे पड़े हुए थे कि आप एक किताब लिख डालिए, लेकिन मैंने वो किताब नहीं लिखी, क्योंकि सैम मैनिकशॉ का इतिहास अभी खत्म नहीं हुआ है। मुझे मालूम था कि ऐसा कुछ होगा, जैसे अभी हो गया है, बायोपिक बन गई है, फिल्म बन गई है, और उनके अलग अलग पहलू और निकल आए हैं, और ये फिल्म के वजह से मैं इसके बारे में लिखूंगा। तो पहली बात है कि मैंने बहुत लिखा है, और मैं उनको, मेरी खास जान पहचान उनके साथ तब हुई जब वो रिटायर हो चुके थे, और उसके पहले वो जब मैं एक मेजर होता था और स्टाफ कॉलेज से लौटा था, डिफेंस सर्विसेज स्टाफ कॉलेज वेलिंगटन से, तो मुझे उन्होंने बुलवाया एडीसी होने के लिए, और मुझसे पूछा गया, मेरे सीनियर ऑफिसर्स ने मुझसे पूछा, कमांडिंग ऑफिसर ने, कि तुम जाना चाहोगे? तो मैंने कहा, कौन इसको रिफ्यूज कर सकता है, कौन कह सकता है कि मैं फील्ड मार्शल, उस वक्त फील्ड मार्शल नहीं थे, चीफ ऑफ आर्मी स्टाफ, 71 साल की लड़ाई जीत जीत के आए थे। सो मैंने फट से अपना हाथ खड़ा कर दिया, लेकिन जैसे किस्मत होती है, हमको बुलावा नहीं आया, और बाद में जब वो मुझे मिले, जब मेरी दोस्ती उनके साथ एकदम शानदार दोस्ती, ये भी मैं कह सकता हूं कि जैसी जो दोस्ती मेरी हुई, मैं भी बताऊंगा इसके बारे में, शायद कोई और, जनरल दीपेंद्र सिंह या बहराम पंतकी, वो तो उनके एडीसी थे, दीपेंद्र सिंह के अलावा शायद कोई दूसरा बंदा नहीं जानता। अब क्या हुआ, जब मैं उनको बाद में मिला, तो उन्होंने कहा, बरखुरदार, अब मैं तुझे अगर एडीसी ले लेता, और तेरे बारे में मैंने क्या क्या सुना है, आखिर में मैं काम तो मुझे तेरा एडीसी बन जाना पड़ता। उन्होंने ऐसे मुझे 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 कहा, माय सन, आफ्टर व्हाट आई हर्ड अबाउट यू, आई टर्न यू डाउन बिकॉज आई टोल्ड देम दिस बगा आई विल बिकम हिज एडीसी। So that's the story. But
Sir, do you derive your sense of humor also from Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw?
no, I'm a Gurkha, and I draw my sense of humor from the guy at the back with the kukri in his hand. But I really got to know him um, when he became instructor when I was instructor in Staff College. And he just retired. He was glowing with pride and happiness. This was a different Sam, Field Marshal Sam. Still, the glow of fame, like an aura around him. notwithstanding the fact that the Congress treated him, the government treated him very shabbily when he departed from Delhi. But, Sam being Sam, never took it to heart. And Sam came to Wellington, and I was the senior Gurkha instructor there. I used to take all these Gurkha officers who were doing the course on a pilgrimage to Stavka. Stavka is his house in Wellington. And that's how we became famous. He would come to my house to attend parties with students and enjoy himself. I could talk a lot more, but that's something that I have to keep for my book. Otherwise, Ali Saab will take away everything and I'll be left with nothing. So, and then there are so many other anecdotes that one knows about Sam, both at Staff College and then when he was on the board of about a dozen corporate companies. And I used to meet him in room 209 at the Oberoi Hotel at breakfast time. That's the rest of the story is for my book. But let me tell you this in the end, that Sam did a lot for me, by the way. That is also another chapter of my life. But the real second chapter of Sam Bahadur's life was when he was a field marshal and he was a chairman on the board of so many companies, and he gave to the corporate world in terms of higher direction of control, leadership, inspiration, everything that he needed, the companies needed, Sam provided. And I think that was one reason why Sam crossed the barrier, the 90 barrier, and actually went on to 95 years of age. Very happy life, very contented life, and enjoying himself till the very end. So that we are back to Sam Manekshaw, but we are back to him because we are talking of Gurkhas.
Of course, sir. So you mentioned about Wellington, and I was 3 months old when my father went for staff college to Wellington, in fact. And we were staying in, and one more correction with the Gurkhas is we were staying in Gurkha Hills at that time. And I did not know many years later I'll come back to Utakaman to Lawrence School, Lovedale to do my schooling in the boarding over there. So I have fond memory. So I could relate to every place that you were talking about. I've seen Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw's house from outside. So,
well, I was there 2 years ago. I'd been called to give a talk, and when I was there, I make it a point to go up to his to Stavka. I must have been there more than a dozen times, and his grandson Jehan was staying there. His grandson, as you know, has done many interviews, and really got a lot out of Sam Manekshaw. Those fireside chats that the grandson had with Sam, some of those conversations contradict what people are writing about Sam Manekshaw. Incidents, anecdotes. Now everybody is writing about Sam. Everybody is a Sam expert. Like in this country, everybody is an expert on Kashmir. Similarly, now everybody has become an expert on Sam Manekshaw. अरे कई लोगों ने उनका भी कभी नाम भी नहीं सुना था, लेकिन वो अब Manekshaw के बारे में बोलते हैं, although they can't spell his name. Nobody has got his spelling even right. That's the sad part of it. But we are all Sam Bahadur experts now, and misquoting, miswriting, factually, it's very sad. But it's the enthusiasm, People are so excited, enthusiastic about being also कि आपने सैम देखा? हाँ, मैंने देखा. क्योंकि आप ये नहीं कह सकते कि हमने सैम बहादुर को नहीं देखा. आपने एनिमल देखा कि नहीं देखा, अब कौन जानता है? इतने एनिमल्स हैं इस देश में, लेकिन सैम सिर्फ एक ही है, वो भी गुरखा सैम. दूसरा
Correct.
सैम नहीं.
Correct, sir. So my father told me this anecdote. In fact, he's mentioned this in his TEDx talk in 1971 when they were in Longewala. They were preparing to go across for the attack, sir. And that's the time Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw was the chief of the army staff at that time, and he arrived in a chopper, and he mentioned about how charismatic he was, and there was a table laid out with a वो फौजी black blanket वाली उस पे उसके ऊपर चाय थी, and in the mess tin were there, and the pakoras were there. So the general jumped out from the aircraft, came towards the table, and I don't need all this. हटाया वो side में. He hopped onto the table, put his hand on his waist, and he says 3 points. He gave them. He said, "Boys, I'm sending you across. Ensure victory. 3 important points. Prisoners of war would not be ill-treated. There would be no booty taking and plunder. And lastly, he said was, keep away from the Pakistani begums." And he hopped off the table, sat in the aircraft, and they could see in the horizon the helicopter disappear. A mention of that is there in my father's book as well, sir.
Yeah,
That
he was a great showman. जो एक कैरिश्मा का आपने शब्द इस्तेमाल किया, कैरिश्मा के साथ दूसरी चीज एक शोमैनशिप है. वो एबिलिटी टू ड्रामेटाइज इवेंट्स, acting. And I'll tell you an incident that nobody has so far mentioned about Sam Manekshaw. Lekin I would have put it in my book. I will still put it in my book, but I will let Ali have it for his program. जब 71 साल की लड़ाई चल रही थी और रात 12-13 12 दिसंबर 13 दिसंबर बहुत क्रूशल डेट थी. क्रूशल इसलिए डेट थी कि वी वर गेटिंग इंचिंग क्लोजर टू ढाका, और उस वक्त हमें क्या चाहिए था, सरेंडर चाहिए था. और पाकिस्तानी सीज फायर, सेसेशन ऑफ हॉस्टिलिटीज की बात कर रहे थे. और सैम मैनेकशॉ ये चाहते थे कि अगर आपको सरेंडर नहीं मिलेगा तो बांग्लादेश नहीं बन सकता. So in order to tell the world, and especially the journalists, अब उनके आगे पीछे जर्नलिस्ट घूमते थे दिल्ली में, और ये वाकया उसका है 12-13 या 13-14 का. ये सैम मैनेकशॉ शाम को 7 बजे ओबरॉय होटल पहुंच जाते थे. अगर आप ओबरॉय होटल में अंदर घुसो तो बिल्कुल राइट साइड पर एक बार है. अब बार समझाने की जरूरत नहीं है, वो तो सब समझ जाते हैं. ये BAR है, BARR नहीं है. अब वो जब अंदर जाते थे तो एक विस्की का ग्लास हाथ में पकड़ के इधर उधर देखते थे, और जर्नलिस्ट वहां थे उनके पास. वो जर्नलिस्ट तो उनका पीछा छोड़ते ही नहीं थे. और उन्होंने बाद में मुझे बताया कि मैं रोज शाम को ड्रिंक पीने चला जाता था और थोड़ी सी एक्टिंग भी करता था. तो लोग पूछते थे, हाउ इज द वॉर गोइंग? ही सेड, हाउ इज द वॉर गोइंग? वुड आई बी इन द बार इफ द वॉर वाज नॉट गोइंग वेल? और फिर वो भागे भागे जाते थे अपने वॉर रूम में, जहां पर कोने में उनकी चारपाई भी लगी रहती थी.
wow.
तो लाइक के टाइम पर उन्होंने ऐसा ड्रामा भी वो करते थे. और रशिया ने 5 वीटो लगाए, और ये सीज फायर सरेंडर में बदला. और जो कॉन्फिडेंस दिखाया चीफ ने कि लोग सब, अब जो भी बीबीसी बोले, बीबीसी बोलता था. अब बीबीसी ने सिलेट के बारे में भी कुछ बोल दिया कि ब्रिगेड एयर ड्रॉप. So credibility of BBC was enormous, and Sam Manekshaw had lent credibility by demonstrating that sense of confidence, which only comes from a commander who exudes both charisma and showmanship. That combination is a war-winning factor in any situation, and especially if you're down in the dumps and you have to raise the morale of troops. That's why Sam used to go and do this drama everywhere, punch a guy in his chest. So I think these little moves of Sam were legendary and were significant in contributing to his success as a leader of men.
Sir, you have written so much about him, and you were so close to him, and I would like to know: did the filmmakers get in touch with you, sir? Did Meghna Gulzar, Ronnie Screwvala, and all? Did they get in touch with you? Did they dig you out, and did they consult you when they were making this film?
Well, again, we are talking about the film and not what we were intending to talk, but I'm sure we will have. This is the last, we should do this last bit on Sam. Otherwise, he'll hog Ali's time.
Sir, I'll be
Yes.
very honest with you. I'll be very honest with you, sir. The मेरा जो मुद्दा था was not just about a subject like you asked me question answer. मैं question से answers नहीं. Answers से like answer से answer से questions नहीं.
मैं समझ
questions से-
गया अब आप भी चालाकी करेंगे तो मैं भी चालाकी करूंगा मेरे से बात हुई, उनकी जो बिटिया है माया मानेकशॉ, उन्होंने मेघना से कहा कि आप इनसे मिलिए क्योंकि काफी करीबी से जानते हैं। लेकिन अफसोस की बात तो यह है कि मेरी पहचान और जान पहचान वो जब वो रिटायर हो गए थे उसके बाद हुई। और ये फिल्म अफसोस 1973 पे ख़त्म हो जाती है जब वो रिटायर हो जाते हैं। और आई एम श्योर मेघना गुलजार और स्क्रूवाला ये ज़रूर दोबारा सीरियल 2 बनाएंगे, क्योंकि उनकी सैम और गुरखाज की जो कहानी है वो अनगिनत है, वो ख़त्म नहीं होगी कभी भी। और एक सीरियल बनना चाहिए इसका जो कॉर्पोरेट लाइफ थी, क्योंकि उनकी कॉर्पोरेट लाइफ extended from almost 1973 till about 1990. That's a long time. And he made himself enormously famous, as I said, in the corporate world. But the Gurkhas have also become famous at a time when people are about to forget the Gurkhas. So this gives a leg up. The Sam Bahadur gives a leg up to the Gurkha.
Nice, sir. People will, as you mentioned in the beginning, they will never forget the Gurkha. Gurkha will never be forgotten. It can never happen. And that has been my experience. Sir, जब मैं Assam Rifles में था, apart from having Naga troops, Kuki troops, Meitei troops from Arunachal, we had all kind of troops, and then there were Nepali troops who had like Bahadurs, Gurungs, Thapas, or there's so many of them, and Ranas, Chetris, so many of them were there. So itne naam, like if there are 7-8 in one area, तो उनको नंबर से हम पुकारते थे। नंबर अगर हम क्षेत्रीय बोलेंगे तो सब मुड़ के बोलेंगे हाँ साहब बोलो।
या लेकिन बिल्कुल तो अभी तो मैं पलटन से लौटा हूँ और पलटन में हमारी डायमंड जुबली 45 JR में भी मैं था। 45 JR में उसको 1962 की लड़ाई के बाद उनको दोबारा रेस किया गया। तो अभी उन्होंने डायमंड जुबली मनाई और डायमंड जुबली में मैंने क्या देखा कि नाउ दे हैव गॉट गुरखा बियर। गुरखा बियर तो है, गुरखा विस्की, गुरखा रम तो थी। और हॉन्डुरस में लैटिन अमेरिका, वहां पर सिगार बन रहे हैं, गुरखा सिगार। अब देखिए उनका उनका नाम तो बेलीज से लेके हांगकांग तक वो ब्रिटिश एम्पायर, उन्होंने Gurkhas were stationed in Belize, Gurkhas were stationed in Hong Kong. In between, they were all over the world, the Gurkhas. And the highest per capita awards were won by the Gurkhas. If you take the award of the Victoria Cross, 167 throughout the war, Second World War, and out of that, some 38 VCs won by the 28 VCs. Sorry, 28 VCs won by the Gurkhas. I mean, it's a phenomenal achievement of valor, of courage, and of bravery. And as I mentioned, my own battalion. I mean, this is like getting hole in one 3 times in the same day. 3 Victoria Crosses, 2 in 24 hours. That
Wow.
is the fame of the Gurkhas. And it's interesting because when I joined my battalion, way back in 1959, when the first thing I heard in the Gurkha battalion, they asked me, what brought you to the Paltan? I said, we used to live in Lucknow and we were the last house in the cantonment on the Mall Road, 34th the Mall. And the Gurkhas used to march in front of our house, morning PT. मैं उनको कभी कभी देख लेता था. तो मैंने कहा, पूछा, माय फादर वाज आल्सो इन द आर्मी, तो मैंने पूछा ये लोग कौन है, ये छोटे से कहते ये तो गोरखा है. सो उस वक्त से मेरे दिमाग में ये शब्द गोरखा आ गया. और जब मैं IMA में था तो मेरी चॉइस, तो पूछते हैं ना आपसे कि आप कौन सी रेजिमेंट में जाएंगे, तो मैंने अपना पहला चॉइस गुरखा दिया, सेकंड चॉइस गुरखा दिया, तीसरा चॉइस गुरखा दिया. और लोग ये समझते थे क्योंकि मैं लंबे बाल रखता था, मैं थोड़ा एक्टिंग करता, स्टाइल से बोलता था, अब ये तो तरीका सीखा था, तो लोग समझे कि मैं आर्मर्ड कोर में जा रहा हूँ. सब मैं जो एंड ऑफ द टर्म में वो एक वैरायटी शो करते हैं, स्किट वगैरह करते हैं, वहाँ मास्टर ऑफ सेरेमनी था, वहाँ मैं आर्मर्ड कोर की ड्रेस लगा के खड़ा था. तो सब समझे ये तो आर्मर्ड कोर में जा रहा है, सेकंड लांसर्स में जा रहा है, लेकिन मैं फिफ्थ गुरखास में आ गया, सेकंड फिफ्थ. तो जब पलटन में आप जाएंगे तो पलटन में आपसे पूछेंगे, भाई तुम कैसे आ गए यहाँ जाट रेजिमेंट में या कुमाऊं रेजिमेंट में. तो कुमाऊं गुरखा रेजिमेंट में अगर आप भर्ती हो जाएं तो सबसे पहले आपको लैंग्वेज सीखनी पड़ती है. 3 महीने के अंदर आपको लैंग्वेज सीखनी पड़ती है. और हमारी पलटन में तो बात यही होती कि नेपाल जाना है, और ऑफिसर नेपाल छुट्टी लेकर 2 महीने की छुट्टी लेकर पिट्ठू पीछे लाया और नेपाल की यात्रा में चले जाते थे देखने के लिए कि ये गुरखा सिपाही कैसे रहते हैं. तो 1957 की मेरी भर्ती है और 59 में हम नेपाल घूमने चले गए. और तब से लेके आज तक, 59 से लेके आज तक, बारिंग 2 साल जब मैं विलायत में था, एक अमेरिका में था,
वॉर के टाइम पे आप पीस मिशन में गए थे,
कमांड एंड जनरल स्टाफ कोर्स कर रहा था. दूसरा इंपीरियल डिफेंस कॉलेज, रॉयल कॉलेज ऑफ डिफेंस स्टडीज, वो 2 साल को छोड़कर, और 1 साल जब 3 साल जब माओवादी युद्ध चल रहा था, नहीं तो हर साल
जी.
और 40,000 किलोमीटर मैं नेपाल के अंदर चल चुका हूँ
जी सर.
और 60 मरतबा अभी मैं नेपाल में, पिछले महीने नेपाल में था.
हाँ मैंने पढ़ा सर, मैं पढ़ा.
हाँ, मैं साल में 2 मरतबा जाता हूँ नेपाल में, गांव में रहता हूँ. मेरी बेगम एक गुरुंग गांव में ठहरता हूँ. और मैंने उधर एक वो पत्रकार लोग मेरे से पूछते, मैंने कहा नेपाल के साथ मेरा प्रेम अब 65 साल पुराना हो गया है। 65 साल से मैं नेपाल को जानता हूँ। और मेरा जो माय माय फुट हैज वॉक्ड 40,000 किलोमीटर इनसाइड नेपाल। सो ये ये जो लगन है गुरखास के साथ, और मुझे रिटायर हुए तो आई रिटायर्ड इन 1991
That's right, sir.
and
91, sir.
91 and it's 23 and I still go there twice a year. Something calls me there. Something just attracts me there. And sometimes my Begum comes along, but I'm there. I'll be going in March again. होली में जाता हूँ और दशहरे में जाता हूँ, और दोस्ती हमारी बढ़ती है। तो
Sir.
ये जो एसोसिएशन है गुरखास की हमारी, ये बेमिसाल है।
जी सर, जी सर। So what I learned with them with regarding the language, आपने कहा भाषा सीखनी पड़ती है पहले तो I learned Kashacha, Ramrocha, Aulus Basnus. So, I learned basics with them and I would love it. They are such इतने मोहब्बती हैं, इतने मोहब्बती हैं, दिल के इतने साफ हैं. They're such wonderful troops, in fact. And I've been very fortunate, जो मेरा तजुर्बा रहा है. अच्छा सर, मैंने आपके आर्टिकल जो आपका छपा है आज वाया में, काफी वायरल हुआ है ये, तो इसमें मैंने आपको पढ़ा कि Indian Army is planning to get the Nagas, Kumaunis and Garhwalis in the Gurkha if because the Agniveer scheme hasn't gone further with Nepal. So isme I was a little, so you mean what about Cookies? What about Maites? What about Apatamis from Arunachal? What about Chakmas? What about Mizos? What about, तो उनका नहीं है सर इसमें?
नहीं, कोई ये डिस्पेंसेशन जब जनरल रावत थे उन्होंने लिया, ये इसकी खास वजह ये है कि गुरखा रिक्रूटमेंट जब हो रहा था, अब 3 साल से तो कुछ नहीं हुआ, जब हो रहा था तो उसमें 60% नेपाल डोमिसाइल्ड होते थे और 40% इंडियन डोमिसाइल। अब प्रॉब्लम क्या हुआ कि जो इंडियन डोमिसाइल गुरखास हैं, जो धर्मशाला, दार्जिलिंग, कांगड़ा, देहरादून ऐसी जगह में नेपाली है, वो आए तो नेपाल से ही हैं, लेकिन दे हैव नाउ acquired Indian Aadhaar cards and they vote here. तो जो इंडियन डोमिसाइल गुरखास हैं वो अब सिपाही नहीं बनना चाहते, पलटन में नहीं आना चाहते, और जो आना चाहते हैं उनका स्टैंडर्ड जो है मिनिमम क्वालिफाइंग स्टैंडर्ड वो नहीं मिलता है। सो जनरल रावत ने पलटन की नफरी ऑपरेशनल स्ट्रेंथ कमती ना हो जाए, in order to avoid that, General Rawat got a dispensation for 2 years from the Defense MOD to recruit Kumaunis and Gadwalis. In the old days, when recruitment to the Gurkhas first started, they went to the Lahore, Raja Ranjit Singh's armies. They used to go to Lahore and to get recruited. That's how they were called. अभी भी अगर आप नेपाल में जाएं तो पूछेंगे तिम्रो छोरा, तुम्हारा लड़का कहाँ है बहादुर, तो कहता है साहब वो लाहौरे है, मतलब ही इज अ सोल्जर। और ये वर्ड लाहौर से आया है 1814 1813 जब लाहौर आर्मी में जाते थे। और उस टाइम पर कुमाऊनीज और गढ़वालीज शुरू में they were taken because the Nepal government for some time got a little difficult with the Brits and they stopped that recruitment in 1815. So they, as an interim measure, they took Kumaunis and Gadwalis, and Rawat had obviously read his history. So he got Kumaunis and Gadwalis. So that dispensation finished, expired. But I'm sure they've got fresh dispensation because they are recruiting and they can't get numbers from. And because they can't get numbers and because they haven't got numbers at all, zero, from Nepal for 3 years. They are now looking for Nagas, and I'm sure um, once the Gurkha regiment loses its purity, I mean, it's no longer, as I've said, I think by 2030 there'll be very few pure battalions left. And by 2037, there'll be no Gurkha battalions left at this rate. Because if you don't recruit Nepali Gurkhas and Indian Gurkhas don't make the scratch and Indian Gurkhas are not interested, so where are the Gurkhas? You can't masquerade Nagas as Gurkhas.
You can't do that. So
You
in
can't
fact,
do that.
Nagas is a big difference between Nagas and Gurkhas. The very big difference. In fact,
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
lived in Nagaland, sir. I've spent
yeah, I'm
more
sure.
than, sir. So you cannot
Because
really,
you've been in Assam Rifles, and
sir.
as you know, originally Assam Rifles was 100% Gurkhas. And even today, the pension paying office pays pension to at least 30,000 Assam Rifles personnel who are on the pension roll, because I think it was only in 1970s that they stopped recruitment of Gurkhas, and they went in for the northeastern tribes minus Gurkhas. And the character of the Assam Rifles was originally all Gurkhas. And that's how it is that there are still a lot of Gurkhas, Assam Rifle personnel who are being paid out of the defense pension
Sir.
fund.
Yes, sir.
And so this is the sad story that the Nepal government, because that government in the last elections, about 70% of the votes, the countrymen voted for communist parties. And communist parties in Nepal are ruling the roost there. The opposition is communist. The ruling establishment is led by a communist party which fought the civil war. Prachanda led the Maoists in the 10-year long civil war, and their agenda, their large agenda, one of the points of the agenda was to stop recruitment in foreign army, specialist in imperialist country like India. So that agenda has been revived. I think it's more than that. The real reason is that the government of India, as we have read from Narvane's book, Four Stars, in the book Four Stars, he tells you that the government thrust Agniveer on the armed forces. He says the Navy and the Air Force were totally surprised, and the
The
Army
book,
never
the book is
expected
not released as yet, no, sir.
this method of Agniveer of 25% retention and 75% being demobilized. So the Nepal government was miffed by the fact that they would serve only 4 years and there is no pension. The biggest attraction for a Gurkha is pension. To look after the old his time in the village, and that there's no pension now. And so all this rubbish about plowing back youth into civil society, that's what we are telling ourselves. It's a great hoax. The real story behind Agniveer is the fact that your salary bill, your pension bill, and especially the pension bill after the very generous OROP, was so enormous that there was no money left for modernization. So now what have they done? You are already short of 300,000 men in the army. People don't realize this. अभी अभी आर्म फोर्सेस आर्मी में 300,000 की कमी है, और हर साल 70,000 पेंशन में जा रहे हैं और 40,000 अग्निवीर से आ रहे हैं, और अग्निवीर से भी 40,000 जो आ रहे हैं उसमें 25% सिर्फ रिटेन हो रहे हैं। तो मैंने कैलकुलेट किया है इसका जो फाइनेंशियल इफेक्ट है खासकर नेपाल पर, सैलरी बिल पे इतना फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा, क्योंकि आप अग्निवीर, ही इज द लोएस्ट रैंक, सबसे नीचे की रैंक है, राइफलमैन से भी नीचे है, और उसका जैसे राइफलमैन में लिखते हैं RFN, उस आप अग्निवीर का लिखते हैं AV, वो आप अग्निवीर इधर लिखा होगा आपके उसमें, और आपकी पे 30,000 है। दिस अमाउंट इज लेस देन व्हाट इज पेड टू द राइफलमैन। फिर भी सैलरी बिल करीब करीब ठीक है, लेकिन पेंशन बिल जो है नेपाल में आपको आखिर में पेंशन बहुत वो कम हो जाएगी, और जो रेमिटेंस है जो भारत से आता है वो बहुत कम हो जाएगा। लेकिन अभी नेपाल में क्या हो गया है कि लोग एवरी डे 1700 बच्चे नेपाल के एवरी डे बाहर चले जाते हैं। कोई दुबई जा रहा है, कोई रशिया जा रहा है, कोई जापान जा रहा है, वो बाहर चले जाते हैं। ये 1700 में जो इंडिया आते हैं वो शामिल नहीं है, अनगिनत तो इंडिया में आते हैं। 1700 वो उतना ही है जो लोग पासपोर्ट ढूंढते हैं। सो आपने अग्निवीर शुरू कर दी, रिक्रूटमेंट बंद कर दी नेपाली की, वो लोग विलायत जा रहे हैं, रशियन आर्मी में भर्ती हो रहे हैं, और गॉड नो एक दिन चाइनीज आर्मी में भी चले जाएंगे। तो क्या करेंगे बात?
That will not be good at all.
वो तो
Sir, I
तमाचा
also
है।
want to ask you one thing. Sir, I knew very well that Gurkhas were part of the British Army, okay, part of the Indian Army, all right. Russian Army आपने बताया कि बल्कि तकरीबन, if I'm not mistaken, you correct me if I'm wrong, the figure, तकरीबन 200 गुरखा हैं रशियन आर्मी में, और 6 of them have been killed apparently in the war, and few have been wounded. That's what the information I had got. Sir, apparently they are Gurkhas in the Ukraine army as well, if I'm not mistaken.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल,
तो
क्योंकि और मैं अभी पिछली मर्तबा जब अपने गांव में था पोखरा के नजदीक, तो एक बच्चा पोलैंड जाने की कोशिश कर रहा था, क्योंकि वो जहां भी नौकरी मिले, क्योंकि वहां आपको पैसा बहुत मिलता है।
right.
अगर आप बाहर देश में जाएंगे तो पैसा है। तो ये लड़का पोलैंड नहीं जा पाया, अब वो लड़का क्रोएशिया जा रहा है। वो मुझे कहता है क्रोएशिया नहीं हुआ तो मैं दुबई चला जाऊंगा। लेकिन मेरा प्लान क्या है, मुझे बाजे बोलते हैं, बाजे मतलब ग्रैंडफादर, बाजे त्यो दुबई भाइना भने म इन्डिया त आउँदैन, म विलायत जानुपर्छ। And this boy, his intention is to somehow find his way to the French army, the French Legion. They pay handsomely, their French Legion. So he's trying to get there. The idea is, अरे यार ठीक है, अग्निवीर नहीं है तो जिंदगी खत्म थोड़ी हो गई है, पूरा संसार है। And so they are going, although if there was the original recruitment, 15 years service plus pension, they won't keep running around the way they are.
Sir, so I have taken a lot of your time, sir. I would just conclude one thing. एक कहानी मैं सुनी थी, you would be the best person to clarify this, sir. मैं सुना था कि 1962 में apparently when we are fighting the Chinese, so एक गुरखाली पोस्ट थी बॉर्डर पे, तो चाइनीज आर्मी आई बॉर्डर पे और वो लाउड स्पीकर पे बोलती है कि why you fighting the Indian army, go back to your country and such thing. And the Gurkhalis were so loyal, they said they rammed the Chinese from there. They said you go to hell, but they fought till their last breath. इसके बारे में कुछ आपको आइडिया है इस कहानी के बारे में? if
बस
it at all is
देखिए,
happened.
जैसे सैम बहादुर के बाहर इतनी कथाएं बन गई हैं, and all are well, there some are fiction, some are exaggerations. You can do anything with Sam, and it's credible. Story about Sam is credible. Whatever you say is right. Same about Gurkhas. अब ये जगह जगह पर ऐसी कहानी सुनते हैं, और
Right.
फॉकलैंड्स के बारे में तो फिर एक दूसरा प्रोग्राम कीजिए. वो ब्रिटिश आर्मी के गुरखा, जो ऑल्दो दे आर द सेम, फंडामेंटली सेम गुरखास, थोड़ी सी इंग्लिश बोलते हैं वो लोग, बड़े स्मार्ट कपड़े लगाते हैं. द ब्रिटिश अगेन, द ब्रिटिश गुरखास, दे लिव इन पोखरा. You will find Indian Gurkhas and British Gurkhas, or French Legion Gurkhas. There's a world of difference in their outlook and the way they dress up and they speak. You can see they're all imported, wearing clothes bought in Bond Street or someplace like that. They're the same Gurkhas. They're Gurkha pubs, but the amount that the British public knows about the Gurkhas, the way they love their Gurkhas. I mean, the fact that today, in spite of huge recession and cuts in the British army, the British infantry is less than the Gurkha battalions of the Indian army. We have more Gurkha battalions in the Indian Gurkha brigade than there are than the strength of the British infantry. In spite of that, they have kept 3 battalions of the Gurkhas, because the pressure from the public, the love for the Gurkhas. I mean, there are pubs after them, there are restaurants after them, named after them. You go to Edinburgh, they are playing the band, British Gurkha Brigade. They have really kept the essence of the Gurkhas, although we have the numbers, and soon we will be zero numbers.
No, so that, sir, as you mentioned in the beginning that Gurkha का नाम सदा अमर है और कभी मतलब nothing you cannot say zero numbers, but sir, but you threw so many insights about the Gurkhas, about Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw, about so many good things. It was really enjoyable and very delightful being in conversation with you, sir. Sir, lastly, I would like to ask you before I let you go, sir. Sir, Russian army में Gurkhas हैं, Ukraine army में भी Gurkhas हैं, and Russia and Ukraine both are fighting each other. So एक ही nationality से, एक ही community से, एक ही गांव से जब अगर वो सरहद पे they're fighting each other, तो आप what would you like to say on that, sir?
Well,
They're a very good martial race. I know they're very good martial race. They're very good fighters.
This is very iconoclastic, because this is not how it was intended. You see, the tripartite treaty, जिसके बारे में अभी नेपाल गवर्नमेंट कह रही है कि इसको आपने technically we have done nothing wrong in the tripartite treaty. Tripartite treaty talks about equal treatment, and somewhere it says that Gurkha troops will not confront Gurkha troops. There is a clause, a provision in the tripartite treaty, but the Agnipath scheme may not have violated the tripartite treaty, but it has certainly violated the spirit of the agreement. The government of India didn't even inform the Nepal government. I mean, they could have at least told them. They had no discussion. Till today, the government of India has not uttered a word. And people ask me, so why is Nepal quiet? I said, Nepal also has a sense of pride. They have a sense of respect. They may be a small country, but they value their sovereignty. I mean, India can't not go by the spirit of the treaty. I mean, Prime Minister Modi goes to Nepal in Nepal's parliament when he first visited Nepal, and he spoke in the parliament. And he said, there is no war that India has fought in which Gurkha blood has not been shed. What do you make
2014 में
of
सर
that?
ये. You're talking about
What do
2014.
you make? What do you make of that? And you are removing the Gurkhas because you are dismantling colonial legacy. What? And this is not recruiting a Gurkha. This is not recruitment. This is a bonding, a strategic bonding between two countries. You take it from me, the long-term effect of Agniveer or Agnipath, if it is not corrected to the satisfaction of the Gurkhas, to the Nepal government, and I'm sure that can be done. I mean, they could have been easily exempted from this scheme. Why not? They're not Indian army. I beg your pardon. They're not India. Yes, they are Indian army, but they are from a friendly country. The most strategic in the neighborhood, we call Nepal the most strategic geography that is a part of India's strategic northern borders. If it is a strategic border, if it is a strategic bonding, don't treat it as recruitment. You're not recruiting Gurkhas. They're shedding blood for your territorial integrity, the country's territory. So I think we got it wrong. The government of India has got it wrong, but this government gets nothing wrong. Whatever it does is bang on. So that's how it is. At least that's what they think.
Sir, thank you so much for spending time, and it was truly enjoyable and a delight. 1 घंटा ऑलमोस्ट तकरीबन हो गया है. मैंने आपका बहुत टाइम लिया है. एंड सर वाकई में मालूम नहीं पड़ा ये 1 घंटा कहाँ पे कैसे बीत गया आपके साथ बात करते करते. सर इट वाज so nice, so nice. So thank you very much, sir, and please thank Mehta as well, sir.
Good luck. और रात को जब वो पटियाला लगाओगे तो गुरखा का याद करना कि सरकार में थोड़ी सी समझ तो आ जाए कि दे शुड रिकंसिडर. मैं विनती करता हूं मोदी जी को कि प्लीज आपने पार्लियामेंट, नेपाल की पार्लियामेंट में जो बोला उसके बारे में कुछ सोचें.
Sir, thank you very much for your time, sir. It was wonderful being with you and conversing with you, sir. And my regards to Mrs. Mehta as well. And please thank ma'am from our side, sir. And she helps you out with the technical setting up and such things. So very, very sweet of her. So thank you very much, sir. Jai Hind, sir.
Jai Hind.